High alert! Chinese and U.S. aircraft carriers clash in the Western Pacific. China has sent its 2 carrier strike groups to the Western Pacific Ocean to carry out training operations, a spokesman for the People's Liberation Army Navy said on Tuesday. Senior Captain Wang Xueming said in Beijing that the strike groups, led by the CNS Liaoning and CNS Shandong, have been training in the Western Pacific to test their forces' open sea defense and joint combat capabilities. This is part of routine training arrangements set by our annual work plan, and is intended to improve our unit's ability to fulfill their duties. It is in line with international law and the common practice by other navies, and is not targeted at any specific nation or objective, he said in a brief news release. Wang's remarks came as official confirmation of the latest deployment of China's carrier strike groups, which pointed to the fact that this is the second time that both of the PLA Navy's carrier strike groups have engaged in the same operation. The first one took place in October, when they conducted a joint combat exercise in the South China Sea. Japan's Ministry of Defense said earlier on Tuesday that this was the first time for 2 Chinese aircraft carriers to operate in the Pacific at the same time. While responding to a request for comment on the Japanese ministry's statement, Lin Jian, a spokesman for China's foreign ministry, said at a news briefing that the activities of Chinese naval vessels in relevant waters are in full compliance with international law and international practice. China consistently pursues a defensive national defense policy, and we hope that the Japanese side could view this matter objectively and rationally, he said. Song Zhongping, a military affairs commentator and retired PLA Rocket Force officer, said that China uses its carrier forces to safeguard its own sovereignty, security and interests rather than threatening other countries, especially in light of China's growing overseas interests. The main reason Western nations continue to point fingers at us is that our carriers had hardly reached waters this far in the past, a fact that led to their notion that we would never be able to do that. They will get used to our carriers sailing in oceans after we make such long-range operations a regular practice, he said. The commentator noted that operating in unfamiliar waters will help commanders, sailors and pilots accustom themselves to sophisticated battle scenarios and strengthen the strike group's combat prowess and support capacity. Currently, the PLA Navy operates 2 aircraft carriers, the Liaoning and Shandong. Both have a standard displacement of around 50,000 tons and a conventional propulsion system, and they use a ski jump method for launching J-15 fighter jets. The country has built a 3rd aircraft carrier, the CNS Fujian, which displaces more than 80,000 metric tons of water and uses an electromagnetic launch system, or electromagnetic catapult, to launch fixed-wing aircraft. The new carrier is the largest and mightiest warship any Asian nation has ever built, as well as the world's biggest non-US aircraft carrier. The increased presence of Chinese aircraft carriers in the Western Pacific has drawn close scrutiny from the United States and its allies, particularly as both USS George Washington and USS Ronald Reagan have operated in overlapping waters in recent months. This has raised tensions and concerns about miscalculations or unplanned encounters between rival naval forces, potentially triggering a serious geopolitical incident. The United States Navy, which maintains a forward-deployed presence in Japan under the 7th Fleet, has responded by conducting Freedom of Navigation Operations, FONOPs, in the region maneuvers designed to challenge what it views as excessive maritime claims, particularly those made by China in the South and East China Seas. These operations are often supported by carrier strike groups, including aircraft carriers, guided missile cruisers, and destroyers. Although both the Chinese and U.S. navies insist their actions are defensive and in line with international law, military analysts warn that the increasing proximity and parallel maneuvers of such powerful fleets in contested waters like the Philippine Sea and Western Pacific significantly raise the risk of accidental escalation. In an effort to de-escalate, some regional observers have urged for the implementation of a code of conduct or communication protocol between naval forces, much like the 2014 Code for Unplanned Encounters at Sea, CUES. However, with rising distrust and strategic competition, progress remains slow. Meanwhile, the CNS Fujian, China's third and most advanced aircraft carrier, is currently undergoing sea trials. Once operational, it is expected to significantly bolster China's blue water navy ambitions. With a displacement exceeding 80,000 tons and featuring an electromagnetic catapult system, the Fujian marks a leap forward in Chinese naval engineering and combat capability, rivaling some of the most advanced U.S. carriers. According to satellite imagery, China has also expanded its port facilities and naval infrastructure on Hainan Island and other strategic outposts in the South China Sea, suggesting a long-term commitment to carrier-based power projection in the Indo-Pacific. Experts believe that the next few months will be critical, as both China and the United States continue to test each other's resolve while regional nations like Japan, the Philippines, and Australia watch with growing unease. In this emerging naval chess game, the potential for confrontation is no longer a distant possibility, it's an ever-present danger. As rival superpowers double down on their maritime dominance, the Western Pacific may soon become the most volatile naval flashpoint in the modern world. With a displacement exceeding 80,000 tons and featuring an electromagnetic catapult system, the Fujian marks a leap forward in Chinese naval engineering and combat capability, rivaling some of the most advanced U.S. carriers. According to satellite imagery, China has also expanded its port facilities and naval infrastructure on Hainan Island and other strategic outposts in the South China Sea, suggesting a long-term commitment to carrier-based power projection in the Indo-Pacific. Experts believe that the next few months will be critical, as both China and the United States continue to test each other's resolve while regional nations like Japan, the Philippines, and Australia watch with growing unease. In this emerging naval chess game, the potential for confrontation is no longer a distant possibility, it's an ever-present danger. As rival superpowers double down on their maritime dominance, the Western Pacific may soon become the most volatile naval flashpoint in the modern world.